Police have made an arrest in last July's murder on the Alta Lake Greenway. Lavelle Winton-Jones is accused of shooting and killing his girlfriend, Jamani Parker. A U.S. Army Corps of Engineers employee found Parker unresponsive on July 14th. She died at the hospital. Winton-Jones has been in jail since July 26 for several unrelated charges, including drug possession and evading arrest.
The sun hadn't fully burned through the morning haze when two U.S. Army Corps of Engineers workers pulled up to Alta Lake Greenway. July 14, 2024. Just another Sunday in Nashville. The pink bra was the first thing they noticed. It stood out against the dirt path, a splash of color that didn't belong. Then they saw her. A young black woman lying motionless at the trailhead off Dodson Chapel Road. No ID, no phone, just dark pants, that pink bra, and blood pooling beneath her head. "We've got an unresponsive female," one worker radioed in. "Possible gunshot wound to the head." Alta Lake Greenway isn't where bodies turn up, it's where people walk their dogs, where couples hold hands, where college students escape campus stress. But peace shattered when that 9mm bullet tore through her skull. The workers did what they could until paramedics arrived. The ambulance screamed toward the nearest hospital, carrying a dying woman with no name. Black female, early 20s, long braids. The initial police report read, "No identification present." For hours, she was just that, an anonymous victim. A Jane Doe with a bullet in her brain. Detectives found shell casings. They found footprints. They found drag marks that told them she hadn't been shot where they found her. Someone had moved her. Someone had wanted her found. By nightfall, a group of college friends grew increasingly worried about their missing roommate. Has anyone heard from Jamani today? The text went unanswered. Drop a comment if you've ever stumbled across something that made your blood run cold. Because for those core workers, that routine Sunday morning became the first chapter in a murder investigation that would expose secrets nobody saw coming. 20 years old. That's all the time Jamani Parker got. 20 years to leave her mark on this world before a bullet stopped everything. Back in Milwaukee, they still talk about her crossover dribble, how she'd fake left, then blow past defenders right. The basketball court was where Jamani first showed the world who she was. Quick, determined, unstoppable. Her high school teammates called her Jamani because when the game was on the line, she delivered. That girl was fire on the court, her former coach told local news. But it was her laugh you remembered. Loud, genuine, the kind that made everyone around her laugh too. Her Instagram told the story of a life in motion, photos with trophies, selfies with teammates, family cookouts. That wide smile that friends say never seemed to fade. "Words cannot describe how much sadness and heartbreak is in my heart," wrote one former classmate after learning of her death. "Jamani, you were always my #1 supporter on the court." In fall 2022, Jamani packed 2 suitcases and boarded a Greyhound bus headed south. 500 miles from everything familiar. From the neighborhood where everyone knew her name, from the watchful eyes of family, from Milwaukee to Nashville, from home to the unknown. Tennessee State University represented freedom. A fresh start, the chance to become whoever she wanted to be. "She was the baby of our group," said Jada Lucas, who met Jamani during freshman orientation. "We just instantly clicked. 2 girls far from home with no family in Nashville." They formed a tight crew, 5 freshmen navigating college life together. Late-night study sessions, weekend adventures exploring Nashville, inside jokes and shared dreams. Her energy was contagious, Lucas remembered. She'd call to check in at the most random times, like 2 a.m. just to ask if you'd eaten dinner. That was Jamani, always making sure everyone was good. But there were parts of her life Jamani kept private. Calls she'd take in another room. Weekends when she'd disappear with vague explanations. A new necklace she wouldn't explain. Her friends noticed, but didn't press. Everyone deserves their secrets, right? Looking back, there were signs, Lucas admitted, her voice breaking. Things she'd say about feeling controlled, about someone who didn't like her hanging with us. We thought it was just normal relationship drama. What her friends didn't know was that while they were dating guys their own age, fellow students figuring out life alongside them, Jamani had caught the attention of someone much older. Someone whose life experience created a power imbalance from day one. Someone whose criminal history should have been a red flag. Someone who saw a beautiful 20-year-old college girl 500 miles from anyone who could protect her. Would you move 500 miles from home at 20? Tell us why or why not in the comments. Would you notice if your friend started pulling away? Because Jamani's friends are asking themselves that question every day now, and they're left wondering what might have happened if they'd asked more questions about the 35-year-old man who was secretly dating their friend. Lavelle Winton Jones, 35 years old, 15 years older than Jamani, old enough to have lived an entire life before she even graduated high school. When they met is unclear, how they met even less so. What is clear is that by summer 2024, Lavelle had become a significant part of Jamani's life. Though almost nobody knew it, she never brought him around, Lucas said, never posted pictures with him. When we'd ask who she was texting, she'd just smile and say, nobody important. But he was important enough to command her time, important enough to pull her away from friends, important enough to keep secret. The age gap wasn't just numbers, it was life experience, power, control. While Jamani was worrying about midterms and campus parties, Winton Jones had a decade plus of adult life behind him. And not a clean one. Court records show a man well acquainted with the system. Drug charges, evading arrest. By July 26th, less than 2 weeks after Jamani's murder, he was already in jail on 9 unrelated charges. This wasn't his first dance with handcuffs. This was a pattern. Age gap relationships aren't automatically toxic, explained Dr. Renee Thompson, a psychologist specializing in intimate partner violence. But when you combine significant age difference with isolation tactics and a history of criminal behavior, red flags multiply. Those red flags were waving, but Jamani kept them hidden from view. The weekend after her death, her roommates gathered in her bedroom, trying to make sense of the senseless. That's when Lucas picked up Jamani's old phone. The backup she kept in her desk drawer. We were looking for anything that might explain what happened, Lucas recalled. Any clue about where she went that Sunday morning? What her friends discovered on her phone would change everything. Hundreds of texts, controlling, demanding, accusatory. Where are you? Who are you with? Send a picture to prove it. Don't wear that. Cancel your plans. Answer me now. The messages painted a picture of obsession disguised as love, of possession masked as protection, of isolation strategically enforced. There was this one thread where she told him she was studying with us for finals, Lucas said, scrolling through screenshots she'd saved for police. He called her 37 times in 2 hours. 37. Then showed up outside our apartment at 1 a.m. demanding she come outside. The texts revealed a relationship built on control. If Jamani didn't respond quickly enough, threats followed. If she wanted to spend time with friends, accusations of cheating came next. If she posted on social media, interrogations about who liked her photos ensued. Classic isolation tactics. Cut her off from support systems, make her dependent, make her vulnerable. The most disturbing messages came in June, Lucas said. He wrote, "You belong to me. Nobody else can have you. I'd rather see you dead than with someone else." Jamani had replied with a heart emoji. The phone also revealed something else. Jamani had tried to break things off 3 times in the month before her death. Each attempt followed by apologies, promises to change, and what experts recognize as the honeymoon phase of the abuse cycle. "I'm sorry, baby. You know I just love you so much I get crazy thinking about losing you. I'll do better." The last breakup attempt was July 12th, 2 days before her murder. Her final text to him, sent late Saturday night. "We need to talk tomorrow. This isn't working. I can't do this anymore." His response? "I'll pick you up at 9. Don't make this harder than it needs to be." The next morning, U.S. Army Corps of Engineers employees found her body at Alton Lake Greenway. The phone revealed what Jamani had hidden from everyone who loved her. She was trapped in a relationship that was closing in around her, and when she finally found the courage to escape, it cost her everything. July 14th, 2024. Jamani's last day alive began like any other Sunday. Security footage from her apartment complex shows Jamani stepping outside, checking her phone. She's wearing dark joggers and a pink sports bra, ready for a morning workout. Her hair is pulled back in a ponytail. She looks over her shoulder twice before walking to the parking lot. A neighbor's doorbell camera captures a black Dodge Charger pulling up. Jamani hesitates before getting in. The car drives away. The Charger's GPS later revealed a stop at a gas station on Lebanon Pike. Security footage shows Winton Jones inside, buying cigarettes and a coffee. Jamani stays in the car, looking down at her phone. License plate readers ping the Charger entering the area near Alta Lake Greenway. What happened in the next hour remains largely unknown. No cameras, no witnesses, just forensic evidence and the brutal aftermath. Based on blood spatter analysis, the victim was shot while seated in the passenger seat of the vehicle, the forensic report states. A single 9mm round entered through the right temporal region at close range. The bullet followed a downward trajectory suggesting Winton Jones was standing outside the car, leaning in when he pulled the trigger. Gunshot residue patterns indicate the muzzle was less than 12 inches from her head. One shot, that's all it took. But why the Greenway? Why not leave her in the car? Why move her body to the trailhead where she would certainly be found? In cases like this, the location often has significance, explained Detective Marcus Holloway, who led the investigation. This wasn't about hiding the body. This was about sending a message. The message, look what I did. Look what happens when someone tries to leave me. Forensics revealed Winton Jones dragged Jamani approximately 30 feet from the car to the trailhead. Dirt patterns on her skin and clothing show he made no attempt to be gentle. No final dignity, just discarded like trash. While Corps of Engineers employees discovered Jamani's body, Winton Jones' phone pings near his apartment, miles from the Greenway. As paramedics fight to save Jamani's life, Winton Jones posts on Facebook, "Another beautiful day in Nashville blessed." The audacity, the performance of normalcy, the digital alibi, building while Jamani's blood was still wet on his hands. But the one thing that gave him away wasn't what detectives expected. It wasn't the gunshot residue on his clothes, though they found that too when they arrested him on unrelated charges 12 days later. It wasn't his phone's GPS data placing him at the scene, though that evidence was damning. It wasn't even the text messages threatening her life, though prosecutors would later highlight those. It was the pink hair tie. When Corps workers found Jamani, her hair was down, those long braids splayed around her head. But security footage from that morning showed her with a ponytail. The missing hair tie became a critical piece of evidence. Detectives found it in Winton Jones's apartment, stuffed in a shoebox, along with her earrings and her phone. Trophies. Killers like this often keep mementos, Holloway noted, items that let them relive the crime, that give them a sense of continued control over their victims. That pink hair tie, such a small thing, would help build the case for first-degree murder, premeditation, intent, the collection of trophies showing this wasn't a crime of passion, but a calculated execution. By sunset on July 14th, Jamani Parker was declared dead at the hospital, and the man who killed her was already washing her blood from his hands, believing he'd gotten away with murder. He was wrong. Sunday night turned to Monday morning. Jamani's phone went straight to voicemail. Her bed remained empty, no texts, no calls, nothing. At first, we thought maybe she stayed over with someone, Lucas recalled. But when she missed her Monday morning class, the one she never skipped, we knew something was wrong. The friends started calling hospitals, then police stations, then each other's families back home. Nobody had heard from her. "We stayed up looking the entire night," Lucas said, "driving around campus, checking places she liked to go, calling everyone who might have seen her. Then one of them found the news article. An unidentified woman found shot at Alta Lake Greenway. The description hit like a punch to the gut. Black female, early 20s, long braids, pink bra, dark pants. We found the article actually before they identified her body, Lucas remembered. The description they gave. We were like, yo, that might be her.
We stayed up looking the entire night, putting stuff together, putting clues together. We found the article actually before it even happened, like before they even identified her body. We found the article and the description that it said. We was like, y'all, that might be her.
They called detectives immediately, provided photos, described the clothes she was wearing when she left. Within hours, their worst fears were confirmed. The Jane Doe at the hospital was Jamani Parker, and she was gone. While Jamani's friends planned a memorial, detectives worked methodically behind the scenes. They pulled cell phone records, tracked GPS data, reviewed security footage from a dozen locations. The digital footprint tells the story, explained Detective Holloway. People don't realize how much their phones, cars, and social media reveal about their movements. The evidence pointed clearly to Lovell Winton Jones. His phone placed him with Jamani that morning. His car's GPS tracked to the Greenway. His social media posts showed calculated attempts to establish an alibi. But Winton Jones had vanished. For 12 days, he managed to stay one step ahead of detectives until July 26th. When a routine traffic stop for a broken taillight turned into something much bigger. The officer ran his license and saw he had outstanding warrants for drug possession and evading arrest, Holloway said. When they searched the vehicle, they found cocaine, marijuana, and an unregistered handgun. Ballistics would later confirm it was the same 9mm used to kill Jamani. Winton Jones went to jail that day on 9 unrelated charges. He had no idea detectives were building a murder case against him. For 2 months, the investigation continued. Forensic evidence, witness statements, digital records. The case grew stronger by the day. We wanted to make sure this was airtight, Holloway emphasized. No room for reasonable doubt, no technicalities, no chance he walks free. On September 27th, while Winton Jones sat in his cell, officers served him with a first-degree murder indictment. The charge carries a potential life sentence in Tennessee. His reaction when confronted with the evidence? A shrug. She was going to leave me, he reportedly told officers. As if that explained everything. As if that justified everything. Meanwhile, Jamani's friends struggled with guilt and questions. Could they have seen the signs earlier? Should they have pushed harder when she became distant? Would it have made a difference? I keep thinking about the times she canceled plans last minute, Lucas said. Or how she'd get these calls and suddenly need to leave. We thought it was just normal relationship stuff. We didn't know she was being controlled. Have you ever had that gut feeling something was wrong with a friend? What did you do? Did you push past their deflections or respect their privacy? Because Jamani's friends are haunted by that question now. They're left wondering if speaking up might have saved her life, if pushing past her secrets might have revealed the danger before it was too late. And they're not the only ones asking these questions. First-degree murder, not manslaughter, not second degree, not a crime of passion. First-degree murder, premeditated, intentional, deliberate. The indictment handed down by the grand jury left no room for interpretation. This wasn't a spontaneous act of rage. This was planned, calculated, decided upon in advance. The evidence supports that Winton Jones intended to kill Ms. Parker that morning, the district attorney announced at a press conference. He brought the weapon. He chose a remote location. He executed her with a single shot to the head. And he collected trophies afterward. The indictment sent shockwaves through Nashville, through Tennessee State University, through the community surrounding Alta Lake Greenway. I walk my dog here every day, said resident Michael Carver. To think, something so violent happened in this peaceful place. It changes how you see everything. Students at TSU held vigils. Professors offered counseling. The women's basketball team wore armbands with Jamani's initials for their season opener. She wasn't even on the team here, explained the coach, but she loved basketball. And we protect our own. A month after the murder, Shanna Watts told
I couldn't imagine walking out here with my children and seeing something like
out here, she said. But now I come with more apprehension. Someone next to you could be someone who hurt someone, and that's a scary thought.
I love the scenery. I love being out here. I couldn't imagine walking out here with my children and seeing something like that.
For Jamani's friends, grief transformed into purpose. They organized a balloon release at Cedar Hill. Purple balloons, her favorite color, released into the sky as her favorite songs played. She wouldn't want me to sit here and cry. Lucas insisted, I want to get her name out. I want to make sure she gets justice. I want to do as much as I possibly can. They created a scholarship in her name at TSU, started a support group for students in controlling relationships, printed T-shirts with her face and the words, Justice for Jamani, across the front. We couldn't protect her then, Lucas said, but we can fight for her now. Back in Milwaukee, Jamani's family held funeral services at Greater New Birth Church. Hundreds attended. Former teammates, childhood friends, teachers who remembered the bright girl with the killer crossover and infectious laugh. Words can't explain how hurt this family is, one cousin wrote online. This will forever weigh heavy. As the case moves toward trial scheduled for early next year, prosecutors express confidence. The evidence is overwhelming. The charge is appropriate. Justice seems certain. But what investigators found in his cell would reveal the truth about that morning. 3 weeks after the indictment, corrections officers conducted a routine search of Winton Jones' cell, hidden inside a Bible, a book he'd never been seen reading. They discovered pages of handwritten notes, a confession, a manifesto, a window into the mind of a killer. He thought she could leave me, he wrote. I showed her what happens when you try to walk away from me. The notes detailed how he'd planned it for days, how he'd convinced her to meet him one last time to talk, how he'd driven to the Greenway with the gun already loaded. I made her beg, he wrote, made her promise she'd stay. When I knew she was lying, I ended it. The most disturbing revelation? This wasn't his first act of violence against Jamani. The notes referenced previous assaults, strangulation, threats with the same gun, incidents she'd hidden from friends and family out of shame or fear. I owned her, he wrote, and if I couldn't have her, nobody would. The notes transformed an already strong case into an airtight one. They revealed the mind of a man who viewed women as possessions, who believed love meant control, who chose murder over rejection. They revealed the truth Jamani took to her grave. She'd been trapped long before that final morning at the Greenway, and they ensured that the man who stole her future would spend the rest of his life behind bars. Jamani Parker was 20 years old when a man 15 years her senior put a bullet in her head. She wasn't the first. Without awareness, she won't be the last. Age gaps aren't always dangerous, but they can mask power imbalances that turn deadly. Watch for the warning signs: isolation from friends, unexplained cancellations, constant check-ins, hidden relationships. These aren't signs of love. They're tactics of control. If I could go back, Lucas said, staring at a photo of Jamani on her phone, I'd ask harder questions. I'd show up at her door when she stopped answering texts. I'd tell her that love doesn't hurt, doesn't hide, doesn't control. Lavelle Winton Jones awaits trial, facing life without parole. But justice for Jamani isn't just about punishment. It's about prevention. It's about recognizing the red flags before another young woman ends up on a trail with a bullet in her head. Next time your friend starts pulling away, ask why. Next time someone you love seems afraid to check their phone, pay attention. Next time you notice someone isolating a person you care about, speak up. Because somewhere right now, someone is living Jamani's story. And they're still alive enough to save.